Hey, COD students. So I want to wrap up our last module, module number 2, and then introduce you to module number 3. So module number 2, great job with your SMART goals. I want to encourage you to anytime in life to write out your goals and use some of those ideas as far as our SMART goals. It just makes it more likely that you will progress towards those goals and eventually attain those goals. As we move on to chapter 3 and module 3, which is on cardiorespiratory fitness. So when you hear the word cardiorespiratory, right, obviously it's a compound word between cardio and respiratory. So it's your health or your fitness of the two systems, right? Your cardiac system and your respiratory system. So if you think about cardiac system, obviously that involves your heart as the major organ of that system, but also includes all your blood vessels. And then respiratory would be your lungs, right? Being the main organ there, and the health in those areas. So this has a lot to do with how you do with endurance type tasks. So you're going to be, for our assignment, there's one discussion, but I want you to answer 3 questions for me. So it's super helpful if you kind of number them 1, 2, and 3. And there's a couple calculations, so I hope you all don't mind a little bit of math. You're going to calculate your MHR, your maximum heart rate. And in the reading, which you will do before this, it tells you how to calculate that, or one way to calculate your theoretical maximum heart rate, right? Because this is just kind of a rough estimate. What you're going to do, one way to do it, is take the number 220 and then subtract your age. And that should be your theoretical maximal heart rate. So, for example, let's say that I was 20 years old, then I would take 220, subtract my age of 20, and then my theoretical maximum heart rate is 200. Means if I am at an all-out sprint or some type of power activity and my heart rate is going as fast as it possibly can, the highest I could get would be 200. You compare that, let's say, for example, I was 40, right? So if I was 40, 220 minus my age of 40 puts me at 180. So you would say a 40-year-old at an all-out sprint or all-out effort, the highest they could get their heart rate is 180. And again, this is all theoretical. We know that every person is different at a different stage in life, but also a different stage of health at that stage in life. So you're going to calculate that for number 1. Should be pretty easy. For number 2, you are going to use the methods presented in the chapter to determine your target heart rate for improving cardiorespiratory fitness. And there's a couple different references in the reading. The example I'm going to use is they say you should exercise at 60 to 80% of your maximum heart rate if you want to improve your cardiorespiratory fitness, right? So let's take our first example of our 20-year-old, right? Our 20-year-old, 220 minus our age of 20 means our maximum heart rate is 200. Okay, so if we take 60% of that, that's 120 as far as our lower threshold, or our lower threshold for our target heart rate. And then 80% of 200 would be 160. That means our target heart rate when we're exercising and we want to improve cardiorespiratory fitness is between 120 beats per minute and 160 beats per minute. Okay, so that is how you will answer question number 2, but of course you will use your own age. If for some reason you don't want to tell us your age, you can email me that part of your answer, right? And you can send it to bkfitzpatrick@collegeofthedesert.edu, or you can just show me you can do that calculation by doing it for somebody else. Say, I'm calculating this for my nephew who is 25, and do it for them. I just want to give you an out if that's something you don't want to share with the entire class. But I encourage you to, because I think it's an open and safe environment. All right, so that's question number 1 in the discussion. Number 2 in the discussion was your target heart rate, right? So we have maximum heart rate, number 1. Target heart rate should be 2 numbers for number 2. And again, I want you to show me your work when you do this, just so again that I see that you're understanding this. And then for number 3, you are going to, from the reading, you will see there's a couple ways that we can kind of subjectively determine if we're in our target heart rate. They present the talk test and then what we call the RPE, the rate of perceived exertion scale. I'm going to just take you through the talk test real quick. So the talk test says that if you are exercising at a level where you can still have a conversation of very short phrases, 1 words, 2 words, 3 words, something very short, you are probably in that target heart rate for improving your cardiorespiratory fitness. If you can't talk, you're probably beyond that. And so there's nothing wrong with exercising at that level. It's just that they're saying that is not the ideal level to improve cardiorespiratory fitness, is that high intensity, right? It should be something, again, that 80 to 90%, or you should be able to have a kind of a limited conversation with someone, right? So if I go out for a run and I am going all out intervals and I can't get a word out, I'm probably above that 80%. But if I go for a run with a group and we're able to, talk about, hey, how you doing? How was your day? What do you have planned? That type of thing, that probably means that I'm within that 60 to 80% of my maximum heart rate. And thus I'm in that kind of that prime area for improving cardiorespiratory fitness. Okay, so yes, the third part of your discussion is you're just going to tell me an activity is described for me. Paint a picture, as they say, an activity that you feel you could do that would pass the talk test, or read up a little bit there where it talks about the rate of perceived exertion, also called the Borg scale, and give me an activity that would fall in the correct range on the Borg scale, which is our scale up to 20. All right, so get that in, please, by midnight on Friday, April 23rd. This is worth 20 points. You have 1 discussion for this module. The reading and 1 discussion. Contained within the 1 discussion are 3 little questions to answer. As always, reply to a peer, right? So there is some things you can say to your peers, especially I would say for number 3, right? If they talk about, hey, good activity for me for that passes the talk test is when I go hike this and this trail, right? Because I can talk and have a conversation with my friend. And you might say, hey, that's great. I love that trail. Have you ever tried this trail? So just talk about, commonalities, offer encouragement, that type of thing. So keep up the good work, and I will talk to you next week.